That's where most of us are. We have that negative self-talk. We have the victim mindset. We have the I'm busy, I've got too much going on, I'm overwhelmed, I'm experiencing anxiety. It's that person at work, it's my partner. Like, we have that. That's reality of where we are today.
Yeah.
How do we break that pattern in a way that actually makes a difference and is easy enough as a starting point?
Yeah, it's been said that you should meditate for 20 minutes a day. Unless you're really busy, then you should meditate for an hour a day.
Yeah, I love that. That's why, by the way, that's why I meditate for 2 hours a day.
Yeah. So look, I mean, information is what opens that door. I mean, if you think that your thoughts have something to do with your future, just from a theoretical standpoint, that your thoughts create your destiny, and you think 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before, well, then your life isn't going to change very much as long as you're thinking the same way. And those same thoughts lead to the same choices. The same choices lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors create the exact same experiences, and we anticipate the same feelings or emotions from those experiences, and those emotions are the payoff that drive our very same thoughts. Well, our biology, our neurocircuitry, our neurochemistry, our hormones, and even our gene expression will be equal to how we think, how we act, and how we feel. And how we think, how we act, and how we feel is called our personality. And our personality creates our personal reality. That's it. So the present personality who's listening to this show has created the present personal reality called their life. So if you can latch on to this idea, if you want to create a new life, a new personal reality, you got to change your personality, which means you better start thinking about what you've been thinking about and changing it. You begin to become
nothing changes if nothing changes. Remember that one.
Conscious of your unconscious actions or habits or behaviors and modify them. And then we have to begin to look at the emotions that we live by every single day that keep us connected to the past and decide, do these emotions belong in our future? So most people are trying to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. So the principle in neuroscience says that nerve cells that fire together wire together. You keep thinking the same way, making the same choices, demonstrating the same habits, creating the same experiences that stamp the same networks of neurons into the same patterns, all for the familiar feeling called you. And you do that for 10 years on end. You're going to begin to hardwire certain patterns in your brain that becomes your identity. And by the time we're 35 years old, it kind of becomes fixed, right? And psychology used to say that you can't change that, but we now know that you can. So then that kind of...
Something Jordan Peterson said, it's, if you don't change something now, guess what the next 5 years will be? Like the last 5. Only you'll be 5 years older. I mean, look what are you doing now? Is it drugs or is it masturbating or I don't know? And how old are you? You know, is it 20? Is it 18? Is it in your 30s? And is it in your 40s? You know? Imagine if you keep doing the same things 5 years from now. If you don't change something now. Come on, man.
Box in the brain, that is the habit of ourselves. It's we're 95% of the time running a series of programs. So then sitting and doing the work, we have to become disentangled from those programs. And so the moment you decide to do something differently or make a new choice, what most people don't want to face is that discomfort. And that discomfort, that uncertainty, that lack of predictability, that unknown is what people are afraid of, because they'd rather live in guilt. At least they can predict who they're going to be than take a chance in possibility. So when a person begins to understand this and you say, well, how long have you been this way? And they say, I've been like this for 35 years. And you say, why 35 years? Because 35 years ago, I had this one event. Well, the stronger the emotion you feel from the reaction from that event, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more the brain narrows its focus and freezes the image and takes a snapshot, and that's called a memory, right? So then forget the memory. Just overcome the emotion, because it's the emotion that keeps you anchored to the past. So that sounds really good theoretically, But when you step out into that unknown, into that void, the body really is in a habit. And when a habit is when the body becomes the mind. Or if you're thinking about that past event and it's producing an emotion, well, you need an image and a feeling to start the conditioning process. So the body's either conditioned into the familiar past or it's hardwired in the predictable future because it wakes up every single day and runs through the same series of routine actions. So the present moment then becomes the unknown. When people start feeling that discomfort, Jay, they'd rather get on their cell phone and call someone or get up and say, I can't meditate, or, I have too much to do. They excuse themselves. They return back into that familiar feeling because the body's actually telling the brain. A habit is when the body becomes the mind. So the body's stepping out into the unknown and says, ooh, I'd rather feel guilty. I'd rather feel unhappy than be in this discomfort. So then, at least then when they return back to that familiar feeling, then they feel safe. So they step out in the unknown and the body starts influencing the mind, saying you can start tomorrow, you're too busy, it's your mother's fault, it's your culture's fault, I don't have enough money, this isn't gonna work. Those are the programs in there that are standing in the way between you and your future. So then nerve cells that no longer fire together no longer wire together. So the act of observing those states of mind and body means you're no longer the program. You're the consciousness observing that program. So then to meditate, it means to become familiar with. So as you become familiar with those thoughts, you become conscious of how you speak, you become aware of how you act, you notice how you're feeling. The more conscious you become of those unconscious programs, the less unconscious you'll go in your waking day. Why? Because it's not enough to just have a great meditation and get up and get on the freeway and get in traffic and getting stressed. You just return back to the old self again. Our job then is to sustain that modified state of mind and body the entire day. And if you can, get ready because something different or unusual is going to begin to happen in your life. And it will come as a coincidence or a synchronicity. And that's breadcrumbs from the divine saying you're on the path. Just keep doing it. There'll be another one. Just keep staying in that energy. And so teaching people then to understand that there's a formula that we now know, that if you apply that formula, you'll begin to see those changes. And now, as people are doing it more and more effectively, the results are going up as well.
Wow. This was interesting, huh? This was Dr. Joe Dispenza, Please go subscribe to him. He has some really, really fascinating stuff, man. And subscribe to Jay too, Jay Shetty. He's a great dude. Great content, motivational, success, everything. I think comfort it kills a lot of things. It kills dreams, it kills the possibility of being seeing a new side of yourself, Comfort is a real big killer, man. Meditation, a lot of people are afraid to listen to the thoughts in their heads, They just keep themselves busy. And now these days we have too many distractions, man. Too many distractions. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I mean, if you don't get distracted, you're something. I can tell you that. Because everywhere you look, there's a distraction. Here, there, everywhere. But giving yourself time to meditate and to think and to know yourself more. Because do you know yourself? That's the question. Do you know yourself? Anyways, God bless you. And I hope you meditate more. I hope so. I didn't used to, but now I try every day. I try, You forget sometimes, but I try. Anyways, have a blessed day. And I hope to see you on the next one.